I have already done 2 videos on the subject of planetary resonance. The first video I've done is all about the basics of how it operates mechanically. The second video was about planets, but both videos were focused only on personality side. So in this video I want to continue on this and tell you all about the planets on design side. So design side is where things originate from, and personality is the expression. And this is very important to understand in order to really understand what the quantum means. With planets on design side, we're going to start off a bit different. If you haven't seen the personality video, I'm going to link it down in the description box. So even though, as I said, we originate, everything we are originates from design, I would still recommend you to start with the personality side. Now, you're going to notice that on design side, we're going to talk a lot about relationships between planets. So every planet except for Mars comes in a pair. And the first thing we want to look at here is the relationship between Mercury and Jupiter. And how I usually describe this to people is by imagining that you are in a room full of people and you hear somebody on the other side of that room. How are you, or how can you judge this person without really knowing them? Well, there are things that you can already have a sense of, and that is their voice, if you can hear them, and that is their aura. So remember, design is how the other sees us, where personality is how we see the world. So when we're talking about Mercury and Jupiter, this is all about the first impression. This is a first impression from afar. And I give this example, but it's a bit too literal. But we can also talk about being far and close in a sense of, in a holistic sense, like not really knowing somebody well enough. So I think first impression is really a great description of these two planets. So we have Mercury, which is in charge of voice, and then we have Jupiter, which is all about the aura. So what does Mercury tell us about the voice? Ra describes this as the quality of the voice, as a timbre of the voice. But this is a bit tricky. I used to describe this Mercury to people in that way, but then I came across some gates which just did not make sense with this kind of description. So you can only make so many differences when it comes to the tone of voice or the quality of the voice. There's only so much we can say about that. But the gates and the lines and the colors, they go into the themes that are way deeper than just saying, this is how you sound. So we can also see it as a sense, like how does the other sense you based on your voice, not based on what you say, but based on how you say it, based on like, how do you sound to other people? Do you sound abrupt? Do you sound peaceful? Do you sound wise, and so on. And this, when we look at the relationship with the Jupiter, it makes perfect sense, because based on how somebody sounds to us, we're going to judge them. We're going to say, oh, they feel this way to me. I feel attracted to this person based on how they sound, based on how I sense them, or I feel like not at all attracted to this person. So yeah, it's really how we can judge the other based on that first meeting. And then, of course, what is very important is to look at resonance. So say, for example, your Jupiter resonates to your brain. And what that's going to do is, if you are somebody that takes information incorrectly, this is going to be visible through your aura. If you're somebody who is receptive, let's say, and you are acting very strategic, this is going to affect your aura. It's something that is going to cause other people to judge you correctly or incorrectly. And in this way, you can just look at your the exaltation and the detriment of your line to get a sense of it, how that can be a let's say, positive or a negative judgmentation of your aura. The next relationship we're going to look at is the one between Neptune and Venus. Neptune is known as hydration and Venus is known as complexion. So if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Neptune and Venus are the impression that others have of you up close. So it's, when we think about them in a literal sense of these words, it's somebody can indeed tell about your hydration or about your complexion when they're standing very close to you. So when you move close to this person that was on the other end of the room, you can tell whether they look healthy or whether they don't look so healthy. And in the same way, this can be looked at holistically, and it's about once you really get to know the person, you can tell these things about them. Once you are close to somebody in the other sense, not literally. Once you get to know somebody very well. So this is a place where the others judge us based on our appearance. Do we look healthy? Do we not look healthy? Do we look hydrated? Do we look dehydrated? It's also where we can see whether somebody is beautiful in our eyes and where we can see why beauty is so relative. This is also where you can see vanity. This is where you can see attraction. And so, say for example, your Venus resonates to your brain again. And if we're talking about the food intake, what you eat can literally affect your skin, can affect your appearance. Maybe you're somebody who has issues with very oily skin, very dry skin. And this can all be seen then through food for you. Or if you resonate to your environment here, then it can be seen through those themes. Next up, Mars. And Mars is the only planet here that does not have a pair. It stands there in the center of your planetary square. And same as on personality side, it talks about mutation. But in this case, it talks about a mutation of the body. Mars is again very immature energy, especially in the first 30 years. So it can bring a lot of experimentation with the body. But only one experiment will be actually correct for it. We can observe Mars in connection with other planets, like for example Venus, and then we can talk about how transformative our appearance is. You know, you can have people who, and I am one of them, who when I change my hair, I have people around me who can't recognize me. I look totally different. Or for example, if you have Mars with the same color as your moon, which is all about gravity, you can see how transformative your body is. Like for example, with weight, maybe you gain weight very easily. Maybe you lose weight easily. And then again, we will always look at the resonance with the brain and the environment and see how that energy affects us, whether it has an immediate effect on us or not. The next relationship we're going to look at is the one between Uranus and Moon. Uranus comes with a keyword movement and Moon stability or grounding. So Uranus is actually where you get to see how much movement your body needs. Does your body need movement at all? A lot of people believe that this is only seen through an environmental variable, which can be very, very misleading because you can have a right-oriented variable with somebody who's a manifesting generator and has a Uranus in a very active gate. It can mean that they relax through activity, right? Relaxation is a very relative term as well. Relaxing is very different for each one of us. So yeah, when we talk about relaxation, feeling relaxed in your environment, it does not necessarily mean that you need to be laying in bed in order to be in a correct environment. So yeah, activity can be very, very relaxing. And how that body rounds can be seen through the moon. As I said before, moon can show us the weight of the person. If the person has weight issues, if the person has issues with gaining weight or losing weight, how that is going to be affected by the environment, how that is going to be affected by the food that they take in. And again, we can look at all of these planets in relationships with each other, whether they have matching colors to another one of the planets or not. So yeah, moon gives us gravity. It brings balance to our bodies. And if you think about it all being a quantum, a balanced body can give a balanced focus of the mind. That is how we can connect the moons together, for example. And the last relationship we have left here is the one between Pluto and Saturn. So Pluto is inhalation and Saturn is exhalation. And that is about, it can be literal. Here you can find all kind of respiratory issues like asthma, all kinds of breathing issues, allergies, and so on. But also it's about inhaling and exhaling correct energies, correct information, correct people. So when you think about the other side, the personality, if you remember from the last video, in Saturn, we talk about being punished. But where does that punishment come from? It comes from the design Saturn not exhaling correctly. If you pile up the negativities, the toxic information, if you pile up toxic people in your life, you're not able to exhale them. You get punished through your personality Saturn. On the other hand, we have Pluto. If you inhale correctly, where does that lead you? It leads you to the truth, to the personality Pluto, which is all about the truth. If you inhale correct information, you're able to express the truth. So yeah, that's that for the design side. I don't want to make this too long. I might do some example videos later on, but not in this video. I hope you enjoyed that, and see you next time.